Well, hello, everybody at Core 4. Our community is growing every single week. I want to say thank you again for all the well wishes that people have been sending to myself and my family during this time. Life is short. You have to play hard, you have to be authentic. You really have to connect and understand that, yes, Core 4 is about improving our financial situation. But the reality is, you can't take any of it with you. And as I'm learning more and more about myself and learning more about how this world works, I'm connected to people more than I'm connected to money. And so the people that we have working with Core 4 have been exceptional. And I want to give them a special thanks for the support that they have also given to me and my family, and also to you guys as a community. See, what Core 4 represents is a mindset. It represents how we want to live our lives and how we want to change the world around us. And so, in order to do that, in order to be effective, we have to become subject matter experts. And I talk about this all the time when I coach. To be a subject matter expert is where you actually take the time to learn something in such great detail that you could teach it with a level of accuracy that really most can't compare to. And so that's my journey. That's what I'm striving for. And that's what I want all of us to strive for. And that's why we have such exceptional coaches that we're able to bring to you, because they follow that same mantra. The second thing is, you want to be the best version of yourself. And how do we do that? We take a look at our health. We take a look at the way that we are physically fit. We take a look at the way we challenge our minds. What are we doing to become better than we were yesterday? So when you go to bed tonight and you look in the mirror, just say, did I get a little better today than I was yesterday? And even at my age, over 50, I'm still striving, I'm still dreaming to be the best I can possibly be, not just for my family, but for myself, because our days truly are numbered. And so when we recall and we reflect in those last moments, let's make sure that we say we gave it 100% of what we could. And if we do that, then every night that we go to bed, we'll be a little bit more refreshed in the morning, ready to take on the new challenges ahead. The final thing that I always talk about is surround yourself with people who inspire you. If you do that, then number one, you're building a community of amazing people that you can trust, that are accountable, that are transparent, and that you really can have faith in. And the other thing is that they're successful. And if they're successful and they're actually hanging out with you, what does that tell you about yourself? Maybe you're becoming a little bit more successful as well. And so keep those three things in mind, because the people that I'm hanging out with is helping me to recognize how successful I am every single day, because not only am I admiring them, but I'm also looking at their successes saying, man, they must be the best they possibly can be, because every week, every day that I talk to them, they're amazing. So that's the goal, but be authentic with it. Be genuine. Let people know exactly, listen, I'd like to learn from you. I'd like to be around you. I'd like to be in your presence. And then offer something in return. It doesn't have to be financial, but it has to be something that's clear, that you're giving to get. And that's a part of being a great friend. So people have said to me, what does it take to be a great friend? And the first thing is that you can't expect anything from others. If you just be the best of you, what you can do, then people will understand that and they'll come around. So without further ado, it's really time to jump in and really, as we always do, our goal every week is to present you with the facts. So we said mindset. We got financial instruments that we're looking for. We've also got retirement opportunities that we're looking for. And we also want to eliminate our 9 to 5. And so with that, let's start with our core forecast. And we're going to bring on one of the most incredible gentlemen. You guys have seen him here week after week. And I tell you guys, like, these are the people that I'm influenced by, I admire. And so week after week after week, They're here, and you're getting to know them and understand them every single week. So let's bring on to the stage Chris Bulber. Chris, how are you doing today, buddy? Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm doing great, Brandon. Thanks for having me. Happy Sunday, Core Four family, and you're ready. You ready to dive into the markets?
I'm ready because we have a
All
different
right.
kind of a show today.
Okay.
So I'm excited. So let's go for it. I know you want to jump on.
All right. A couple of things to report. So last week I had mentioned the top 25. If you take the S&P, the Nasdaq, the Russell, we were starting to see a slightly broader market than last year when it was all Mag 7. So the top 25, I want to report on that. Pretty flat this week, except for the Russell. But the S&P top 25 reported 2.04% gains versus 1.66 with the market. Nasdaq was 1.42 across the board, so even the top 25, kind of a high concentration in the Nasdaq was the same between the entire market. Russell was 12.16 versus negative 0.7, or I'm sorry, negative 0.79. The chart that you see right now is Nvidia. This stock last week single-handedly saved the entire market. It had earnings on Wednesday after close. It was a wild week. If you can see here in yellow, I had talked about this in my trading rooms, and I forecasted that we're going to see price action test this yellow box in the bottom or the top, and it did virtually both, all in the same week. So we had a Monday, Tuesday push to the downside. We had a big drop in SMCI and all the semiconductor plays, and then a big rip. And like I said, if you watch this, I just want you to point this out. If you look at this, Monday, Tuesday for the week, you're going to notice that every major index got off to a very sluggish start. This was the start of the week in the S&P, and here we go. There's your NVIDIA earnings. So we just had a huge rip to the upside because of NVIDIA. So one thing I just want to note on this chart is you're going to see this across the board for all indexes. Doesn't mean that I'm calling the top. You can see this trend line. I'm not looking to get bearish without better confirmation, but I am willing to take some stabs at expecting the market to have these. The earnings season this year was incredible. We just had some crazy blowout earnings. The market is just chasing momentum like crazy. You are seeing concentration get into the Nvidias, the SMCIs, the semiconductor space. The AI hype is real, and it's broad market. It's performing pretty well. But point is, this little red line that's connecting all these highs. This is an indicator that I've used for years and years and years. It's one of my favorites on higher time frames. It shows me when price and momentum disagree. So we have overbought conditions, plus we have divergence. So we're seeing divergence on the daily chart on the S&P. We're also seeing it on the. It's not quite there on the weekly chart, but we're pretty darn close. If we go to the DIA, if we go to the daily chart, you're going to see the same thing. Overbought conditions with divergence. With that little tap on Friday, I had a nice little zero DTE trade on Friday where I made 139%, which was pretty fun. Zero DTE stands for 0 days to expiration, so that was just a single day trade. And I faded the S&P from 510 down to 506 and made a nice little profit there. I also had gains for the week. Let me see what I posted here on Friday for my blog. I had gains on the SPY, the Qs, Microsoft, AMD, GBTC. I actually closed out some of my positions. I was long on GBTC, which is Grayscale. I'm looking at some of those other SEC-approved ETFs like IBIT and FPIC to start moving some cash over into those. Lower fee structure. Also made some money on Instacart. Also had Streamwise. Had 6 new clients on board last week, which I was really excited about that. So off and running for the year and a lot of good trading ahead. And then here are the Qs, same type of thing. Higher highs, higher highs. You can see that price momentum disagreeing with this line. Plus, we're at overbought conditions, not just on the daily chart, but also the weekly chart. So I've been saying this. If you go to the higher time frame, you're starting to see that the anticipatory signs of a bit of a pullback are in the wake. Typically, when we get through February, March can oftentimes trigger a bit of a correction. I wouldn't be surprised with the market, ripping the way that it has this year. We're looking at the S&P up 7 or almost 7% for the year out of the gates. Big moves on few stocks are still dragging these sectors higher. So communication services led primarily by Meta, Netflix crushing it this year, and the communication sector outperforming the benchmark. You look at financials, most banks, they're steady. They're not exciting, but who's leading the way? Berkshire Hathaway, one of the biggest companies, top 10 in the world, almost 17%. They are, double the S&P right now. Why? I have no idea. Even Charlie Munger says like our performance is overcooked. But you see that everyone's doing pretty well. You got MasterCard, Visa, health of the consumer, People are still buying on credit. It's all good. JP Morgan, I mean, everything's fairly safe for right now. Healthcare, led by Eli Lilly, one of the big performers there, just with Ozempic. I think that's pretty much all they're doing that's enjoying this crazy run, but Eli Lilly is a big company. And then technology, of course, also leading the way with NVIDIA, just crushing it this year. One of the top performers. So, again, not issuing a word of warning. I'm just saying I'm looking for some short-term opportunities. Next week, as we go into some of the trades that I'm in, I'm looking for a couple of spreads in my option trading where if price ends up going a little bit higher, I have about a 9-to-1 reward to risk set up there. If we go up to around, this is the Qs. If I set the Qs up, it's like a 445 level. If I go to the SPY, I'm looking at a 515. So if I watch those areas, if we hit 503 this week, we hit 515. I've got about 10-to-1 reward to risk on some of my setups. I'll just continue to play shorter term every 1 to 2 weeks on these indexes. I've got a very boring strategy that generates about 20% a year. So I'm not mad about that either. So I don't need the market to do a lot of stuff. I just need to do its thing. I'm always protected the downside. I'm always risk defined. So that's why Streamwise is going to do great this year. So anyway, really exciting week. And that's the market. Thanks for watching.
Great job, buddy. So, as I tell people all the time, Chris, they may not understand this, but week after week after week, they're going to start picking up on some of those cues and the things that you're talking about. And so I'll tell you guys, you can either do this on your own and you can try to follow Chris from what we talk about here on the show, but there's a lot that goes into this. So you can always contact us, build a relationship with Chris, and Chris can help you to make the retirement and make the rest of your life exactly what you want it to be. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
All right. So next up is a good friend of mine as well, James Bishop. James is a world-class economist, and he's also an incredible insurance mastermind. And so when you think about this mastermind, and what he can do, it's really interesting because I want to actually, James, one of the things you and I have talked a little bit about this, but I want us to do like just a webinar, like weekly, that people can come on and just learn about insurance, because I don't think they really understand that insurance really can be used as an investment tool as opposed to just a death benefit. So I know we've talked about that. So I want us to go ahead and move forward with that. But before we even talk about that, did you play golf last week? Just one day.
Let's see. No, I did not last week. Not one day. I kind of got a little. Me and Tiger Woods, we both got the stomach flu. We're inexplicably late. Just a foot shorter. We have the same confidence. He's just got the skill that I don't have.
Well,
and about $1 billion difference.
At least there was some sympathy there. Let's see.
Exactly.
All right, so talk to me. What's
all right. Well, a couple of things that I want to discuss about this week that are mainly important from the economic aspect. What could affect us and our portfolios and our investments? So, really interesting. Two big fundamental news announcements coming out Wednesday and Thursday this week are U.S. GDP is going to be coming out. And then we also have what's called the PCE price index. Now, the GDP is a formula that is easily forecasted. It's consumption plus investment plus government spending plus net exports. Well, I can tell you that my expectations in an election year, we will have more than likely a positive GDP report read to us this upcoming Wednesday, I believe it is. Yes, Wednesday. And that is because, consumption still, we're seeing from 10Ks from companies that they are reporting all-time profit highs. More on that in a second. I want to come back to that. We're also seeing that there is an increase in foreign direct investment into the United States as we repair and replace some of our current standing infrastructure. We're also seeing, if there's one thing that I trust that the people up in Washington can do, is they can spend some daggum money. Mm-hmm. Whether they have it or not, it doesn't really matter. They just spend it anyway. And so government spending, I have no doubt in my mind that is that will take care of itself. And then net exports are actually they are up. Now, whenever you look at a net export number, and that's going to come out in the news that, oh my gosh, we imported X billion of dollars of goods. Well, a few short years ago, that was X trillion of dollars. So while we're importing still, we are not importing as much as we were before. So now to touch on the record profits of companies, one of the interesting things that I look at is what's known as a quick ratio or turnover rate. And what that is if you, let's say you owned a business and you sold t-shirts. Well, your turnover rate is the amount of time it takes you to sell out or sell through all of your goods and materials and then replace them. Well, what we are seeing is that in spite of these record profits, the turnover rate or the amount of goods sold, the number of units, is flat or down, which tells you that the profits are actually coming from increased prices, which I know we all are feeling anytime we buy anything. And so how long can that stay for? That is, to be determined. I have a firm belief that what fixes high prices in life is high prices. You're not going to buy something if it's just simply unaffordable. You may not take that vacation. You may not take that trip, and it may just be too expensive to do. So you avoid doing that one thing, which causes company profits to suffer, and then eventually they will lower their prices in order to spur on people spending in their stores. Another point of note that I wanted to discuss here today, which is actually, in my opinion, quite exciting and shocking, and I don't know, it's just something that came across that I was reading this evening, actually, just recently. Japan, for the first time since 1990, has created a new high in their Nikkei. So think that is a cool, 24 years? Oh, no, 34 years since they had the Nikkei, their Japanese stock market index,
Right.
that we would refer to it as the NYSE or the S&P or the Dow. Their version of that is hit for the first time in 34 years an all-time high. As a matter of fact, it's from October 23 to today, it has gone up over around 11,000 points in that time. And it's quite incredible what they've done with a shrinking population as well as a negative interest rate. And what that means for the overall market and the US market will be kind of interesting to see if we continue to ride these waves and if the global economy will reach all-time highs, and then will they have a global pullback? That will be something that we'll be keeping track of week in, week out in the Core 4 show for sure.
Let's go. All right. So let's set it up. We got to set up the webinar for the community to be able to get on and utilize your knowledge and use it so that we can take what the government and what these insurance companies are offering and really learn how to maximize it. Because I think that's really one of the big problems. We just don't know better.
Absolutely. Sounds good. We'll do it.
All right. Thank you. Okay, guys. So now we need to talk a little bit about the Core 4 report. What is the Core 4 report about? So right now we offer 3 opportunities of education for you guys. One is through the Forex. You guys all know, and you guys are all killing the game in the Forex. We got great signals for you guys. They're not signals where we just throw stuff out there. They're signals that have been tested. And so you're taking the trades of the Ghost Protocol as they take those trades for themselves. And so you have to figure out what your leverage is, and you have to learn that, and we can help you with that. And we have tools, but you also want to make sure that you're understanding why it's working the way it's working. So you don't want to over leverage, but at the same time, if you keep up with the amount of pips that we got last year, then this year we should hopefully get within that same range. Man, you're going to have a lot of fun. Now, the next thing we want to talk a little bit about is binary options. So this week, let me see here if I can share this with you guys. This week, we did an increase in binary options of 29%. Last week, 35%. The week before, 46. The week before, 48. The week before, 37. The week before, 18. And I just want you guys to understand this. So we did a daily average of 7.45, and we didn't trade on Wednesday. That's just fantastic. And so binary options is not easy, but you know what? With the right education and the right team, you can do amazing. So with that, I want you guys to meet one of the greatest coaches and binary options that you could ever ask for. And he's also a great friend of mine. And I want to introduce Coach Vaughn. Coach, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's going on, buddy, man? Good to hear from you. Good to hear those numbers. Brandon, can you read those numbers again? How many weeks back does that go?
Let's see, buddy. We're going back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks.
And what are those increases over those weeks?
Let's see. We did 18 the first week, 37 the second week, 48 the third week, 46 the fourth week. The fifth week we did 35, and this past week we did 29.91.
Yeah, I don't think that people are really getting the possibilities here. I don't think people are really swallowing these numbers. I don't think people are really paying attention. I mean, are you guys paying attention to what Chris Pulver is saying every single week? He's dropping jewels. He's dropping gems. I mean, Brandon is reading the numbers that we're getting with binary options. That's why I don't always feel the need to harp on it, because the numbers should speak for themselves. But when you have so many great opportunities that are at your doorstep, when you have so many people who are willing to work with you, I'm just telling you, if you don't jump on it, if you don't get on it, the door is going to close, and you're not going to have those opportunities anymore, right? We're not here just for our health. We're here to build something. We're here to grow something. And that means you are part of it, right? If this was a show, then you're the crowd. And if the crowd's not participating, the show's eventually going to stop. So we need to wake up. We need to open up our eyes and get on board with what's going on, because it's not going to be here forever. Walk through the door while it's open before it closes on you.
That's great. Absolutely. Because when opportunities present themselves, you have to be ready. And so we're giving you the history of how we're doing. And so you can take those results and start to build some prediction of what was going to happen next week. Like, we already know that next week is going to be a great week. We just have to experience it. So thank you, Coach. Uh-oh.
All right. Thank you, man.
All right. That's great. So Coach India is not able to be with us tonight, but she's had a great week as well. Right now, we're going to move on, because one of the next things that I want to talk about is, how do we do this? So you actually are going to be able to take a class that we offer. It's a course. And so you purchase the course. You take the course with the coach, or from whichever coach you choose, whether it be Coach India, whether it be Coach Eric, whether it be Coach Vaughn, whichever you do, and then you start to learn. And as you learn, then you're going to be able to start to either trade yourself, or you're going to be able to start doing the yield farming yourself, or you're going to be able to start doing the Forex market yourself. And once you get like the basics down, and the basics are not hard. The basics just mean that you have to take the time, mind your own business, and then get excited about the possibilities that you're keeping the money in your wallet. Eric, what is that all about? Like, just keeping the money in the wallet is amazing, right?
Yeah, I just want to share with you that I've been out since Tuesday. I'm in Pensacola. I flew up for my son's wedding in Chicago. I didn't even look at the computer this week, and I made 1.4%. I didn't have time to look at it, and I just glanced at it this evening. And that is from the beauty of the cryptocurrency pools. So if you do that 5 times a week, we're on track. Even without looking at the computer, I'm on track to do 7.5%. just without even making any adjustments. Now I trade more aggressively than that, and all that means is I've got to look at the computer for maybe 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And the beauty of trading in the crypto world and exactly what we're doing with these liquidity pools is I say the only reason that people don't get involved in this is that they're just not aware of it. They either don't know anything about cryptocurrency or they don't know that these pools are aware. I mean, I'm an expert in cryptocurrency. I've worked and I've even started exchanges for other companies, and I didn't even know how much money could be made in
Yeah.
the crypto pools until about 2 years ago, and how really easy it is. I mean, the first time you get in one, and it takes a few minutes, but again, here you have sovereignty over your own money in the crypto space. So the beauty of keeping it in your own wallet, and you're not sending it off to somebody else, you're sending it into, it's like you own a piece of the brokerage firms. You're making money off of the buying and selling of other people when you do the crypto pools, because the decentralized DeFi exchanges where people trade, swap currencies in their own wallets, where they have sovereignty over their own uh, money. By keeping it in a wallet, you're not keeping it in some exchange like FTX or any of those kinds of things. You're keeping it in your own wallet, and then you're only allowing it to be used by other people to trade on decentralized exchanges. So those are all automated systems where there's no people in there that are going to steal your money. So you don't have to worry about where your money's going, and you don't have to be Nostradamus either. You don't have to worry about whether or not the cryptocurrencies are going up or down. And I just want to point something out that the major pairs that I've been trading when I went away this week, while I was away doing my own thing, just by putting in the pools, the money's working for me. It was Solana, Python, Mobile, just those coins against the US dollar. And each one of those currencies was going down since the middle of this month. Did I lose any money? No, I haven't lost any money. I've been making yield the whole way through. And that's the beauty of this thing. I don't have to predict where these prices are going in order for me to still make money. So if you want the easy way out, you don't want to have to look at your computer all day long. Yeah, it takes about 4 or 5 hours if you go through the course with me to learn how to do your first get into the pools, but that's it. Once you're in there, you look at it maybe as often as you want to. Once a week, I look at mine every day just because I sit in front of my computer every day. I check it every evening, every morning, and I trade pretty aggressively. But if you don't want it, you don't have to do that. You can just look at it once a week for about 15 minutes if you want to, and you're still going to be doing well. So I just love it. I love it. Again, just like everybody on there was saying, um, take advantage of the opportunities, that you have by taking these courses, because it puts you in the driver's seat. One of the hardest things to do is to turn your money over to somebody else and let them, do something with it for you. My opinion is to try to learn at least how to do it yourself before you even consider that. And here it is easy. Can't be any easier than just take a course, learn how to do it. So yeah, I love the crypto side. It's easy for everybody. It's just the ease of it, the
Yeah.
simple ease of it. You just go about your life and you don't have to stare at it all day long.
Well, 100% right. And I think that, people sometimes don't believe in themselves that they can do it. And we don't have a foolproof way to stop you from, letting you get in the way, but we certainly have some principles in place of how to learn what Coach Vaughn and Coach Eric and Coach India is talking about. And what I find is interesting is we also have, I think it's going to be a Monday and Wednesday um, update. And then we also are going to have a Telegram channel where whenever you do make adjustments and changes, we're going to know, everybody in the community is going to know immediately. So
Yeah,
that's
you
powerful.
can benefit from my experience in that. I'm even going to pick the things that you should be trading, and they don't change very often. So again, the ease, once you learn how to do this, it's really just on staying top of the game is about picking which pools, picking which ranges to be in, looking at other passive earning strategies that are available to us throughout the crypto space. So I'm going to be adding some other courses in there too, because for example, I found ways to earn gold. I mean, imagine earning gold literally by electronic gold. Instead of buying ETFs, you buy PAXG and some other things, and by inserting those gold-backed cryptos into certain ecosystems that only exist in the crypto world. Imagine earning 10 or 20% or 30% in gold every year. I mean, just for keeping some of your money in gold. So, the returns that I think any reasonable person can earn just from the pools courses about, between 8 to 20 to and up to, I've earned as much as 30% in a month, but on average, let's say 10% a month with just being in the pools. Okay. But these other strategies, maybe you want to be invested in gold. Maybe you want to have liquid gold. Maybe you want to be able to just move out of your positions like you do ETFs. But by doing it in the crypto world, there are many ecosystems in cryptocurrency that enable you to actually earn tangible assets that don't exist in any other trading. That's why I really love the crypto space, is that you can earn by virtue of the fact that other people are using these different currencies.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you, Eric. We got a lot. So here we go. The next thing I want to talk about, and this is really dear to my heart, which is really what the Core 4 whole movement was born out of. And that is that I got involved in crypto platforms. And when I got involved in crypto platforms, what I learned very quickly, or not quickly enough, was that the due diligence that needed to be done, the leverage, which is the amount of money that I'm putting in, how I even shared it with other people, all of that was wrong. And I was taught wrong, not because people made a mistake of trying to manipulate or whatever else. They just didn't know any better. Like I did a little show not too long ago where I was just talking about the fact that some people that got involved in these platforms, when the SEC and all the rest of the stuff came tumbling down on them, they had issues, right? And so they had to discuss those issues. They had to talk about it. They had to turn over information, outside of just the tax returns that they had already filed, right? So why is it that these platforms that are out here, why are they're stealing from us, they're attacking us, they're leaving us vulnerable with, people coming and investigating and all the rest of that stuff. So what is that all about? And so Core 4, the movement was born because, we were giving our money away to somebody else. And instead, we don't want to do that. We want to keep the money in our wallet. And so, but if you are going to make a decision, how do you do your due diligence? And so a good friend of mine, Jeremiah Grafton, is coming on. You've seen him before. You've seen Jeremiah on e-commerce. He's a master at e-commerce, but he's also a master of building systems. And so we built this spreadsheet off of the knowledge that I have been gaining about how we can protect ourselves in this ecosystem. And so for those that are gamblers, I'm not telling you not to gamble, but I'm telling you that you're going to need the leverage. You're going to need to really figure out how to put enough capital out there at risk where it doesn't impact you. So you call it discretionary, you call it disposable, whatever you call it, there's an amount that you want to work with that if it doesn't work out, it doesn't impact you or your family. And so we've created a way to do that. And can you share your screen?
Yep. Let me see.
And while he's doing that, one of the big deals that there are 3 projects that we're going to evaluate and show you guys today how to use. The first one is going to be Hyperverse. Now, the next one is going to be Novatech, and then the next one is going to be funds. And the reason is I was invested in all 3 of these, but and I was over leveraged. But the reality of it is that there are platforms that are out here now, and you guys are going to start seeing this particular Core 4 coefficient, true return, as well as the Core 4 quadrant. You're going to start seeing this on different influencers, YouTube influencers channels. And the reason why is because this is going to help you to do your due diligence mathematically, as opposed to you doing it because, let's say, you just wanted to do some reading. Like, you don't need to have a gut. If your buddy is telling you, hey man, I'm making money in this, you got to join this, that's no longer a reality. It's like, no, let's just plug this into the core 4 coefficient. And if I decide to do it because I like you, I can tell you exactly how much money I'm going to invest. So it's broken up into several parts. So the first part, so you guys will know, is broken up into the coefficient itself. And so the coefficient will help you to figure out how much you trust this particular project. The second thing that you're going to, take a look at is what is the true return? Because a lot of times based on risk, we don't say, okay, well, if they're offering 20%, what am I really, getting back from this, right? And so we give you what's called the true return. And then finally, we give you the core 4 quadrant. And the quadrant is extremely helpful because this tells you really, and I'll say this for entertainment purposes, but this kind of tells you what core 4 would invest in it. What me as being a part of core 4, if core 4 as a company were to make an investment, this is what we would use. And so this is going to be free for anybody that asks for it, because there's going to be times when you see things that might be interesting and you might want to play. And I'm not telling you not to. We don't give our money anymore to anybody. We keep it in our wallets. We keep it in our platform. And so the core 4 coefficient is a way for you guys to say, all right, this is how much I have to work with. How much am I going to leverage on this investment? So let's just dive in. So Jeremiah, we'll take a look. Platform 1, platform 2.
Okay.
So let's put for platform 1, because most people aren't going to put 100,000 in. Let's just put 10,000 in. And there's 2 places where you're really going to put the value of a particular project. So let's say years ago when Hyperverse was around, Hyperverse, I would have had $10,000 to put in Hyperverse. Now, Hyperverse gave a 0.5% return every single day. So at the end of the month, I'm assuming that it would have been roughly about 15% is what you would have been making per month. So can we change that to 15? So these are the 2 areas that you need, and the 2 areas only that you need to put in when it comes to how much money you have to work with and what the return is. Now you're going to start working with the core 4 coefficient. And so we're going to ask ourselves a couple of questions. And the questions are, if we keep custody of our money, then it gets a 1. If we don't keep custody of our money, then it gets a 0. So Jeremiah, I don't remember if you were in Hyperverse, but we actually had to give our money to somebody, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we know that that's not what we would do anymore, but we're just assuming. And so when you take a look at these opportunities out here and you push send, you can't get that money back typically, right? They might let you have it back in the beginning just to kind of build confidence with you. But the reality is in Hyperverse, that was a 0. The next thing was it in the United States or abroad? Now, people say, well, that's not fair, and all the rest of the stuff. Well, I'm in the United States. So if you're in France, then do France or abroad. And if it's in the US, then look at it as a 0. So just where you are, because if you know that it's in the United States, there's something about I can feel it, touch it, go see it, all the rest of it. Wouldn't that make a difference to you, Jeremiah?
Yeah, definitely would.
So it would have gotten a 0 because it was abroad. Now, the next thing is, so you got to change. Yeah. So the next thing is, tell us about the testimonials, where there were lots of people that were giving real testimonials that they were making money and they were showing that money. So that was cool. The next thing is the narrative. Was it believable? Man, did they do a good job, Jeremiah. They actually had their own decentralized exchange, and you could actually trade on it and all the rest of this stuff. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so the narrative of it made sense. They had this beautiful presentation. They said this is where things were going, that they were eventually going to be in the Hong Kong exchange. And so they made it extremely believable. And so the next thing was it around for 3.5 years or more? Now, this is important because a typical Ponzi only lasts for 3.5 years. If it gets more than that, then maybe they're doing something a little special or whatever else, but typically it's not going to survive that long. And it wasn't around for 3.5 years, so we'd have to give that a 0. And so the next thing is customer service. So in customer service, it was very interesting because there really wasn't any real customer service. You got your customer service from your upline. And that's not a real customer service. You want to be able to call somebody, right, Jeremiah?
Yep, that's correct.
And if you can't talk to them and you have questions, then again, now you're held hostage because you've already done what? You've already sent them your money. So their customer service was trash. So immediate withdrawal. Jeremiah, were you in Hyperverse?
No, I wasn't, but I've heard quite a bit about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So the immediate withdrawal, that was pretty good, but it wasn't immediate. It wasn't like it came right to you right away. It may have taken like 24 hours and then it would hit your account. And so that was, unfortunately, I have to give that a 0. I mean, there was money to be made in there, but it was a 0. Were they licensed? No, they weren't licensed. Were they public or private? Now, this is a very interesting question because a lot of people say, does it mean it's a public company or if it's a private company, like on the New York Stock Exchange? No. So public meaning is the CEO around, or do you not know anything about where you're sending your money from that standpoint? And they had a public CEO. And a lot of these times, these people are actors. But the reality is they were public. They were out there like they were doing this, responsibly and legally. So we're going to give them a 1 because it certainly did appear that they were public. Now, this becomes the creme de la creme. Is there proof of revenue? Was there any way that we could prove that the money that we gave was doing whatever it was that the narrative said it was doing? And just flat out, guys, no. Now, we have a weighted coefficient, and if you get deeper into core 4, then we weight this differently so that you can get a deeper, more accurate look at what's going on. But the reality is there was no proof of revenue. So if you don't have to you give away your money, there's no proof of revenue, then it becomes very difficult. But if I would have had this then I would have been focused on not spoiling the opportunity for myself and others. So what this core 4 coefficient shows is that it's a 0.3 is the score. So you now can take this 0.3 and you can actually do something with it, because remember, it says 15% is what they're offering. But if it's 0.3, you take that 0.3 and you multiply it into the 15%, and it gives you a true return of 4.5. So now you can say to yourself, I need to think about this more realistically. For my money to go out there, I'm only going to be getting 4.5%, because if it goes away, you got to spread that out over a group of time, Jeremiah. And that's not as attractive monthly as 15% is.
Correct. Yep.
So this just gives you an idea of how to look at it. And so remember, this is due diligence, because if they're really honest and got integrity, they're not going to care. They're not going to care what the score is that they give, because they're supposedly a real business. So that means they can clean up their act and clean up some of these other things that are giving them a 0 and make it a 1. Then they can get a 10 and okay, great. Everybody's happy because you're completely transparent. So at this point, now that we have the true return, we can now go and take the core coefficient and we go over to our chart over here. And so you guys don't see this, but behind the scenes, there's an engine that's running this, that's showing that because it's a 0.3, it is a high risk. And so it's ranked as a 4, and that's not good. You want it to be a low risk over at 1 or a 2. So it's at a 4. So that's telling you something right there, that maybe, this is not really for me. Or if I still want to pursue it, this is now going to help you to understand how much capital you're willing to invest in it. So the next thing you're going to say to yourself is, all right, well, now that I know it's a 0.4, how do I determine the next part? So the way you do it is you divide 4 into the number the 4.5, which is the core 4 true return. And that's going to be like 1 or whatever. So that's going to give you from the y-axis 1 to 5. That's going to get you down around a 1. So you're in a 1 and you're in a 4, Jeremiah. How much does that put you in?
So that puts you up. It's over in what is
Core-
it? Quadrant 1, and that's up to a 5% recommended investment. That's basically our recommendation. Not telling you to put 5%, but that's just our recommendation.
Yeah, that would be the maximum of $10,000 that you would put in this. Had I known that, it would have meant everything to me, because if it were a real program, it would still be here.
Yeah.
It would just take me a little longer to get to wherever I needed to get to. And so we want hurry up and get that money quick versus, let's understand how we're making this investment and be responsible. So now that's platform 1. But what this particular spreadsheet allows you to do is to put 2 projects up against each other. So let's put Novatech up against this. So Novatech, let's put $10,000 in platform 2. And so they were offering 12%. And I love Novatech because Cynthia Pelton and whatever her name, I can't remember her name. What was her name? Do you even know?
I can't. I didn't. Wasn't in that one either.
Oh God, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. But let's go through. So now we go to the coefficient, and did we keep custody of our funds? That's a 0. Number 2, was it abroad or in the U.S.? It was supposedly in the United States. Number 3, testimonials. There were plenty of testimonials. Number 4 was the narrative. Did it make sense? And the narrative did make sense. They said they were trading, but yeah, it made sense. So that's a 1. 3.5 years or more, nope, that's a 0. Customer service was terrible. Immediate withdrawal, they gave a controlled withdrawal, so that's a 0. So this is where it gets a little tricky. They weren't licensed. They said they didn't have to be, but they weren't licensed. So let's give them a 0. And now public or private, Cynthia, whatever her name was, man, I can't even think of her name. I can't think of her name. Cynthia, that's all I know. Cynthia Eddy and whatever, that was her brother or husband, whoever they are, criminals. Cynthia criminal. So public or private. So they were public. And then finally, proof of revenue. They didn't give us one shroud of evidence that they were actually trading. And they were supposedly trading the Forex, which makes this interesting because in the Forex side, they could have set up with MyFX book or some blue book, whatever it was. They had an opportunity, Jeremiah, to really show us that they were trading, but they had all of these excuses or reasons why they wouldn't.
Okay.
And so it was unfortunate, but I saw so many people put in hundreds of thousands, even millions of dollars into this. And let's just take a look at how it factors out. So we now know that it's a 0.4. So 0.4, we would put that into 12%. And so that comes out to 5. Is that right? No, that comes out to 4. What is that?
4.8. Yeah.
4.8. Okay. So we got that. Now we say, all right, 4.8. So we know that. And we can now come over and start to plot this. And it looks like it's very similar. No matter what somebody tells you, man, I know we were making money over here. You got to drop something in here. You don't want to miss this. We're getting paid. Really? Not now. But again, if it's real, then we can actually do something with this.
Yeah.
We can grow it. But we can't sit over there and just put blinders on to some of these facts and not evaluate this. And you can do this with any return on investment platform that's out there to determine how much of your hard-earned money that you choose to be alternative investment capital, where you're going to give it over to somebody else, you can determine. And so this would tell you that a maximum core 1, you don't want to be in core 1. You want to be in core 4, where you're putting up to 80% investment in. And that's powerful. So all I'm saying to you, oh, Pettion, thank you, Cynthia Pettion, thank you so much, Miss Fat. Yeah, that was great. I appreciate that. So so just know that if we would have had this, it would have changed all of our experiences. And so I want you guys to look at any of these other influencers and tell them, use the Core 4 coefficient worksheet and put that on there and then evaluate these companies. So these people that are following these influencers can have a chance to save their money, right, Jeremiah? Like,
Yeah.
that's all we want. We believe in who's telling. People said this to me all the time. Just figure out, Brandon, we're going to follow you. So just make sure you've done your due diligence right. And here is the way we can do that. Let's do it for our binary options real quick. Okay, we got time. Let's take a few more minutes.
Okay.
So in binary options, let's go back to platform one, same $10,000. So it's a return on investment. So custody of funds, and the answer is yes. You keep custody of your money. USA or abroad? Well, you're in the United States because you're going to be doing the trading. Yep, that's you. Our testimonials there, we're doing testimonials every week. Does the narrative make sense for binary options? Absolutely. It's a real thing. Has it been around for more than 3.5 years? Absolutely, it has. Now, have you been trading for more than 3.5 years? No. So let's just say that we'll give that a 0. Your coach might have been, but let's just give that a 0. Customer service is absolutely fantastic. Immediate withdrawal, yeah, you get your money whenever you ask for it. And remember, it's your money. It's with your brokerage. So it's not like they're keeping your money. They do a KYC on you. So once again, this is all helping with the legitimacy. With binary options, with pocket option, is it licensed in the United States to do that? No, it's not. Is it public or private? It's public. Is there proof of revenue? 100% there's proof of revenue. You're the one that's actually doing it. So what does that give us? A 0.8? So
Yeah.
now, monthly stated return. So let's just say right now, just for kicks and giggles, I'm getting 20% a month. So the true return of that is 16%. That's a great deal. That's a
A lot
great deal.
safer.
It's a lot safer. It's safer. You got to add the You can't
Yeah.
just say safe, right? And so look at that. It puts you in a core 4 right there. All right. Fantastic. Let's do platform 2, which would be yield farming. Same 10,000 yield farming. I would say, I agree, you could do probably 20% on yield farming. Let's do that. So custody of funds, of course, yes. United States or abroad, it's in the United States. Testimonials, yes. The narrative believable, yes. 3.5 years or more, yes. But that doesn't mean you've been doing it for 3.5 years or more. So let's give that a 0 just for fun. Customer service. So it's a little bit different in the customer service for yield farming. You can't actually contact anybody about it. You got to read it up. You got to do your own research and all the rest of that stuff. But if there's questions, let's just give that a 0 for now. Immediate withdrawal, yes. Licensed, no, there's no license to it. Is it public or private? It's public. And is there proof of revenue? Absolutely. There's proof of revenue. Look at that. So here you have something that is, now you take the 0.7 into the 20%, you get 14% is your true return, because there is some associated risk to anything that we're doing, right, Jeremiah? There's
That's
going
right.
to be some risk, but you're keeping the money with you. You have proof of revenue. You could go to the weighted side of this, Jeremiah, and that would change things a little bit, but we want to use the standard deviations that we have here so that the community doesn't get confused, and this is a great way to start. And now you say, okay, well, where does that put us? 0.7, that's pretty safe opportunity. That's putting us over here at around a 2. 10, 9, 8, 7. That's a 2. And then also you're looking at, well, where is it? So it's 16 divided by 4. It's at a 4. So look where you are, guys. You got both of them in core 4.
Yeah.
That's just not bad, Jeremiah.
I mean, this is powerful. same thing as you. I wish I would have had this with some of the opportunities I've gotten into. It kind of takes away some of the guesswork. If you say, well, I only have $10,000,
Yeah.
and you're plugging in all this information, it will tell you based on all the data you're keying in, what we would recommend when we put it into our Core 4 spreadsheet.
It would only make sense that everybody that's out here that's looking for additional ways to get a return on investment that's in a project that's an ROI like this, that you would use this. So I just want to say, Game Time, you came through here. We did a great job putting this together, and I couldn't have done it without you. So my hat's off to you. You did a fantastic job. Anybody that wants a copy of this, all you have to do is just email us. You see the email. You can contact us at Core 4 Ventures on Twitter, the Core 4 Show on YouTube, and also on Facebook. We're all over the place. We want to give this to you. We want to help you guys for entertainment purposes only to make some fantastic decisions. And we're proud of everybody that's on the Core 4 Show. And I just want to thank you guys. So Jeremiah, thank you.
You're very welcome.
And I will talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right, guys, listen, this is June 28th to June 30th. It's going to be time for you guys to come to Maryland, and we're going to actually learn more. We got like a fantastic lineup of people that are going to be showing us how they make money and how you can keep it in your wallets. You need to be here. You need to stop playing around and putting over leveraged money in projects where you're not in control over your investments. You have great coaches that are here to support you, answer your questions. These are real people. These are not people that are out here trying to take your money. They are selling you a course, and they are showing you the results that they're getting in their lives. And so they're giving you the tools that they use, and so you can then use those same tools for yourself. This is the way we make money outside of our 9 to 5s. And eventually you get good enough, and then guess what? You won't have to work the 9 to 5 the same way, or you just have double the money. So that's what Core 4 is all about. You have an opportunity to be a part of the pre-launch. It's only $50. You get discounts on all the different products that we offer here for our education, and we're here to help. So take advantage of us. Take advantage of your opportunity to get to the next level. We want to see it. We want to see you at all of our events. This is a private community that we're building. It's a private movement. So when you're inviting people, you want to invite people who are serious about an opportunity to grow. So from all of us here at Core 4, I want to say thank you and good night.